They changed their whole lineup.
Now, if you guys are having any trouble hearing me on TikTok, I'm going to encourage you to switch over to YouTube, also at Ask Ivy. Okay, you'll have a better connection and you'll have a better chance at getting your question answered. So you may want to go ahead and do that now. How do I get this going?
Should have refreshed. There you go. I clicked it.
All right, so we're going to give this a second for a few people to tune in. And while we do that, I'm going to make a couple quick announcements. There we go. All right, so on YouTube, looks like Shauna, Ashley, Love is the Answer, Christian, Ariza, Vanessa, welcome everybody. All right, so coming up, if you guys are looking more into your intuitive intelligence, or if you want to communicate better with spirit, if you're trying to understand more about your empathic ability and what you can use it for, you're going to want to check out the Psychic Mediumship class. Now, the next group starts. If you want to join with the group, you can join anytime, but if you want to be in with them, that's going to begin September 6th. Now, early bird registration opens on August 22nd. So seats do fill up fast. This is going to be online through Zoom. We also have downloadable classes. So if you guys want to get your foot in the door, you're going to want to go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com and get on that early bird registration list. Again, that opens so you can officially register on August 22nd. For the public, it's going to open the very next day, okay, the 23rd. And we'll see you guys there in September. Super excited about that group. All right, looks like we have a few people tuned in here, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I do want to ask everyone here on YouTube to give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And if you want to become a member for behind the scenes extras, direct spirit messages, your monthly horoscope, all kinds of great things, you can hit that join button to see the 3 different tiers of membership. Again, everyone on TikTok, if you want to switch over to YouTube now at Ask Ivy, that might be wise. We are going to shut off here about halfway through, and sometimes it's hard to hear on TikTok. Paul, my adorable producer, will be taking your questions. How are you, Paul?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. And we do encourage donations. Thank you very much. Shauna, I already see one coming in. Donations are greatly appreciated. All right, everyone. So welcome. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Airwalk, and I own a school called the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where I train people internationally online in everything ranging from psychic mediumship development to Reiki, astrology, tarot, numerology, paranormal work, empathic awareness. You know, you name it, we do it. And we train children as well as adults. So I hope to see you for full classes. You can go to ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. If you guys want to book a reading or a party, some kind of public event with me, go to ivyriverapsychicmedium.com. And to check out a full list of free mini classes I've been doing since the pandemic hit, you go here on YouTube at Ask Ivy and hit the playlist button under classes. Today is, are you a psychic, a medium, or an empath? If you think that you have intuitive abilities, but they come and go, you don't know what is going on with them, you're not sure what exactly you have, and even when you receive something intuitively, you don't know what it means, you definitely don't know whether or not it's accurate, and you're not comfortable delivering out that information to other people, this is going to be the show for you. So you guys can ask about your abilities. You can say what it is that you have going on. I will tell you what category it falls into, and I'm also going to try to give you some direction on what to do with it next. Now, if your question doesn't get answered, these are a little tricky to get to everybody. You can always book an intuitive ability assessment with me up on my website, okay, to get a private reading on this. Okay, do we have some coming in? All right, what do we have?
Okay. Let's start with Shauna here. Says, I'm an empath level 3. I'm wondering where else to start working on my spiritual journey before classes. What can I practice? What are my skills?
Okay. Well, so if you are a level 3 empath, then you understand you have telepathy and you have electric person syndrome. Telepathy, the ability to hear other people's thoughts, and electric person syndrome, which is essentially the ability to manipulate energy of others in a situation, but also like draining batteries, blowing out light bulbs. You know, if you're really excited or you're really upset, you can mess with electronics inadvertently. And it can actually be pretty disruptive. It is at the 3rd and the 4th level with empathic ability that we would see a lot of what you're experiencing with emotional overload, emotional meltdowns, or you may even feel that your mind is about to explode sometimes, like it's a mental meltdown. So one of the first things that I would suggest for you is to check out, if you haven't already, the empathic awareness training that helps you to control your energy. Because before you come in for the psychic mediumship course and we start activating all of these abilities, you need to be able to control what you already have. And so that's how we're going to handle the entire process all the way through anyways. Now, one of the key things that you could focus on hitting that level 3 empathic ability is medical intuitive work. We become extremely skilled on the 3rd level with reading or scanning someone's body, including animals, and figuring out what is going on with them. If there are blocks, if there's toxic energy, if they have some kind of a health issue going on, if it's mental, if it's emotional, if it's past life, if their chakras are out of balance, whatever it is, you're going to be able to easily pick up on that. And I would recommend that you start there with the medical intuitive work and then lead into something like Reiki, psychic surgery, energy work. The two really go hand in hand. And that is great to prepare you for the psychic mediumship course, because the more you do healing work, like energy work, the better channel you will be when you start communicating through mediumship.
Very good. All right, this one is for Toby on TikTok.
Toby?
I would love to know my strongest abilities.
Okay, psychic comes up for you. I also feel that over the course of the next 2 months, your psychic ability may be increasing quite a bit. One of the things that you're going to notice is in situations when you're out in public, being able to predict things. So whether it's, being in a car and knowing it's time to switch lanes, or walking down the sidewalk and knowing that you want to avoid someone's energy or a situation, bumping into people out in the world and at work and social situations, and understanding ahead of time what they're about to say to you and how they might be feeling, what they might be thinking, and whether or not they have a different agenda than what they're presenting. All of this is connected to your psychic ability. And I think that when you're that in tuned to the truth, when you're that in tuned to energy and subtle shifts in energy, you could really go out into the world and use it to accurately predict situations for people. If people have questions, like a yes or a no type of a question, you could be very accurate in that. I would get into offering readings for people, and I would start small, where maybe they're like 5 minutes, or if someone has a question, you could start with that, and then you could build up. And if you find it a little bit tricky, we hope to see you for class, of course, but you may also want to check out like Paul's tarot class, where you wouldn't just get stuck using the cards as a tool. You would actually be able to evolve into higher levels of intuitive intelligence and mediumistic abilities. So I would concentrate on that. Yeah.
All right, this is from Love is the Answer.
Okay.
Can you tell if someone has an ability?
Well, everybody has abilities. It's a complete myth that it's a gift. There are no gifted people. Everyone on Earth is alive because they're using their psychic ability every day, their gut instinct every day. Yes, some people have it to a heightened degree, but mediumistic ability is something that everyone has. And what I mean by that is that spirits are going to communicate whether you want to listen to them or not. So it's more about them than anything. And some people are more in tuned to hearing from them. And I think that with empathic ability, everyone has it to some degree. There are 4 different levels for sure. And definitely empaths that are going in a dark direction would turn out to be more like sociopaths and narcissists. And they would use that empathic intelligence to hurt people. So, there's a light and a dark side to that aspect of it. I think that what I pick up on with people is, their strong suit. So the first thing that I notice when I come into the energy field of someone who is incredibly intuitive is that their vibration is different. It can read to me as though there's something off about that person. It actually seems like a strange energy, or I could read it as actually being repelling or overwhelming. I don't care for their energy. And then I will notice after that, I've learned to identify, it's not an offensive energy. It's just a lot of energy. And I don't allow it to bother me. I just would then look at them and say, okay, so they have this, high vibration or this intensity to them. What category does it fall in the most? And it's pretty easy to tell. Yeah.
Okay. This one is from Masha.
Marsha?
I sense energy around me. I'm wondering where my strengths are.
I think that one of the things you do is you tap into mediumistic ability. And I think the second thing you do is you tap into paranormal activity from atmospheres and objects. So one of the interesting things that you could toy around with is to antique or go to yard sales, go to old buildings. Be careful, of course, like maybe like abandoned buildings, or just even drive around and pay attention to how you feel when you look at certain atmospheres and buildings. Everything tells a story. You may also be really drawn to cemeteries, the older, cemeteries. I think that when we're energy readers, it is really overlooked that it isn't just about reading the energy of other people. And half the time, like, who cares? Who wants to do that all day, right? Atmospheres, the planet Earth holds so much information. So does brick. So does, steel. When we look at like train tracks, when we look at brick buildings, when we look at also bigger, especially bodies of water, everything tells a story. And so it seems like that's a lot of the energy that you're tapping into, which can also bring about some paranormal energy. And when I said objects earlier, like things like antiquing, we tend to forget that every object holds its own energy and a story. So you may be really enjoying the experience of yard sales and antiquing, or it could make you throw up. It could make you dizzy. It could be absolutely overwhelming. And that's how you would probably feel around certain people, atmospheres, and, objects that have a lot of history attached to them. The mediumistic aspect of it, I think, is always there, but I do think you need to learn the language. I don't really think you understand how to fully interact with them, but there is interest.
Okay. One from Lauren Bell 7904 on TikTok.
Lauren on TikTok. Okay.
I feel like smoking grass further strengthens my abilities. Is this common?
Well, it's common for anyone who is altered, in an altered state, to experience more intuitive intelligence. And that just goes to show that we all have it, right? So people who were maybe once able to have a couple drinks, if their mediumistic abilities increase, they could start blacking out. They could get possessed. They could end up having all kinds of weird reactions one day. What you're talking about is more like, smoking a little bit of weed and then realizing that you're more intuitive. Maybe you're more psychic, or you're feeling the energy around you more. You're more aware. And for you, if you're using it properly, that can be a normal experience. That could be a positive experience. That might be part of, your spiritual journey. I would just say that we need to be careful, because when we don't understand how to handle it sober, we are susceptible as our intuition increases, and it is always increasing over the course of our lives. We are susceptible to negative and darker energies using your drug use or drinking as a door of opportunity to come and settle in and attack. So it could take a really dark turn really, really fast. And we do want to be mindful of that. I would also recommend that you're not doing healings or reading people when you're in a state. We need to master being rooted and grounded and working with our intuitive intelligence before we go into those other states. Thanks again for the donations. I see them coming in.
Okay, this one is from Miranda.
I just also want to tell everyone on TikTok, we're going to do a few more of these, and then we will be switching off on TikTok and exclusively moving everybody over here onto YouTube. So if you haven't already done so, get off TikTok, go to YouTube at Ask Ivy. Okay,
this is Miranda.
Miranda.
At this point, I am not sure what I am. I can sense things, and I'm always drained.
So Miranda says that she's always drained and she can sense things, but she doesn't know what she is. So the being drained is a part of empathic ability. This may have increased for you during the pandemic. And I have a free mini class up here called Empaths in the Pandemic, where I talk about how incredibly exhausted a lot of us have been. Now, some empaths have been feeling better during the pandemic because there was a 6-foot rule. So they weren't getting drained by other people's energy, or they didn't have to go around people at all. And so they were able to recoup their energy. But it's a complicated thing as an empath. You have to better understand who and what is draining you, and you have to prevent it. See the empathic awareness training. You have to understand what rejuvenates your energy and then incorporate more of that into your life, like spending a lot of time alone and protecting your personal space, being in nature a lot, using Epsom salt in the bottom of your shower, cleansing yourself out, getting rooted and grounded constantly. When you're really exhausted, it's a sign that you are, accidentally overabsorbing other people's energy into your energy field, and that you're allowing other people to drain your energy because you're a healer and aren't fully aware of it. And then at night, the mediumistic abilities increase, especially between 3 and 5 in the morning, the haunting hour. So you could see with an increase in psychic and mediumistic intuition that your sleep state is also screwed up. When you combine the lack of sleep or the interrupted sleep with the energy draining and overabsorption, you've got a very exhausted disposition that can seem almost impossible to get past.
Okay, we have one from Cara.
Cara?
What does it mean when I see visions or hallucinations that my sister is having and automatically know they are hers? She is diagnosed bipolar.
So when people talk about, when therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists talk about us intuitives being psychotic, having psychosis, and they misdiagnose us with all of these other things, I get very, very irritated. And I've done a couple free mini classes on this. We did the War on Intuition, and we did therapy, psychology, and spirituality, how they're intertwined. Check those out to learn more about you and your sister and what's going on there. But the short answer to this is that we are all tapping in to different frequencies in the universe. Some of us are more intuitive than others, but when we see someone dealing with dementia, or if they're in a coma, or if they have schizophrenia, or if they have bipolar, a lot of different things, we could even if someone's in an altered state of mind, drinking or drug use, we would, as intuitives, hear what they're hearing. We would see the spirits that are communicating with them. If there's paranormal, dark activity harassing them, we would know that. And so what we really need to do is to learn and be educated about what's actually going on, and then control it through boundary setting and maintenance of our abilities at all times. And so you, as an intuitive, are able to hear when your sister is going through what they may label as an episode, because it's a very real thing.
All right, this one is from Nigeria.
Nigeria?
It said, could my depression and anxiety be from being an empath and living in a toxic house? I just moved back home from college.
Well, when I talk about the 4 different levels of empathic ability, I start talking about anxiety and depression being a side effect, along with like irritable bowel syndrome and headaches in the first 2 levels. So it does not even take until you're up to the higher levels 3 and 4 for those side effects to kick in. So soon as your empathic ability is noticeable, one of the first things would be bouts of depression, not a consistent depression, but bouts of depression with no known triggers, and anxiety attacks with no known triggers. And so absolutely that could be happening. Check out the empathic awareness training. I know Paul put it in the comments a minute ago, but that will help you to get a handle on it. What it can't help you to get a handle on is your toxic environment. There's not enough sage in the world, sometimes to clean up a toxic environment where you are with people who have to own their own energy. You can control maybe other people in the home that are bent on being toxic in any way. So sometimes we could try to educate those around us on what might be better practices and how they could be more pleasant and mindful. But someone who is deliberate in that decision to go low instead of high is going to chronically pollute your space. And even with the blocking exercises that I teach you in the class, they would only work for a certain amount of time. And you would have to, at some point, establish some really strict boundaries with these people. And that can be tricky when you're all living together. So both things, yes, but start with the empathic stuff because that you can control.
Okay, this one is from Karina.
Karina?
I see 247 everywhere and believe it's my guides. Started when I was in 2nd grade. I'm now 31. I see it so much. I want to connect, but I don't know how besides acknowledging the number.
Well, one of the things that you could do if you're a numerology person, okay, so numbers will always follow you. Numbers would also, for a numerology person, typically show up in birth dates and death dates throughout like your family history or special life events for you. You would also notice that dates when something really great happens or something kind of tragic happens, or even those in your inner circle, your best friends, your spouse, your children, all the numbers would connect and repeat in patterns. So if you find that any of this is happening for you, what you may want to do is check out the numerology class here with Johnson, our numerologist, which is actually going on right now, or it's downloadable. But that is a separate language within itself. The other thing that you can do is to learn how your guides are communicating with you. Check out a class called Meet Your Guides. And ultimately, we have to understand that with numbers, they're not just coming from our guides. Numbers aren't just coming from angels. Numbers aren't just coming from the deceased or our ancestors. They are also coming, from our higher mind and the universe. There is a whole missing language that gets overlooked where numerology is concerned. And it would be wise to start there. Also, we talk about it in the Psychic Mediumship course. It's exciting. It really is. And those are significant numbers. But when you see them coming up in that pattern repeatedly, your whole life, there's more of a story there, and that's connected to you personally. And yes, you are accurate that your guides and your angels, some of your closest ancestors would be using those numbers to let you know that you're on the right path. They're never going to pop up if you're going in the wrong direction. Okay, we are going to switch off from TikTok. So if you guys want to stay on for the show, go to YouTube at Ask Ivy, and we will be taking more of your questions. Bye, TikTok. All right, so how is everyone here on YouTube? Looks like we're still doing good. Okay, if you guys haven't already done so, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Who's next?
Okay, next up is Ashley.
Ashley?
Says, I have a hard time knowing what I am. How do I activate my abilities? How do I know which abilities I have?
Well, right. So we want to take a look at what we have going on naturally, understanding that some of our abilities, even though everybody has them, will be more active than other people's. Okay, so here's what I do with my psychic mediumship students. I plop you down in class number 1. I look at you and I can tell what is going on. So I know where your heightened abilities are, and then I know where you're kind of weak, and we're going to have to expose you to certain exercises to trigger those abilities. So what I feel is strongest with you is psychic ability. You also have quite a lot of mediumistic ability going on, but there's a lot of confusion there. I don't think you understand what's going on. I don't think you know how to receive or transfer a message. And I think that sometimes you're confusing what you receive mediumistically as being your own thought. Okay, so we have something called clairaudience going on with you. Clairaudience is the ability to hear spirits in your head as though it is your own thought. And it can come along with random anxiety attacks. It can also come along with a ringing in the ears, like a tinnitus or a feeling of pressure. The left ear is spirit communication. The right ear is your psychic ability kicking in. So I would start there. I would pay more attention to any kind of clairaudient interaction you're having. And I would start asking yourself, I'm having an intuitive moment. I wonder where it's coming from. Is it coming from me psychically? Is it coming from a spirit around me? Did someone give me that? Or is it coming from your own thought? It's just your logic. It's your left brain thinking, or it's your feelings. It's your emotions. Once you could start to decipher where things are coming from, it gets faster and easier to learn the language.
Okay. This one from Jessica.
Jessica
Says, I'm wondering if I'm just an empath or more, please.
Okay. Well, what a lot of people don't understand with empathic ability is that it comes in 4 different levels. And if you have empathic ability, you automatically have mediumistic ability and psychic ability. So I see a lot of different names for different kinds of empaths out there these days, and people have got all these fancy titles for it. It's all the same thing. If you are even a level 1 empath, you've got all those other things. It's all the same thing. So I don't know where they're coming up with this. But what we know scientifically, what we know from research, is that when we have the lower levels, they originally were researching it, thinking it was something that psychics had. And nowadays, a lot of people don't even know that. They don't think that you can be empathic and that has anything to do with the other 2 intuitive intelligences. And it absolutely does. So when we look at the lower 2 levels, and I feel like you're somewhere between the 2nd and the 3rd, we would be looking at a considerable amount of psychic and mediumistic abilities. But as you hit the 3rd and the 4th, there can be a lot of mediumistic, empathic overload, psychic ability that can make you even nervous. I say it's like a Chihuahua syndrome, or feeling like, the other shoe's going to fall, not knowing what is going to happen, but feeling like something is about to happen. And so you're definitely going to want to focus on every time you feel a lot of energy coming in with you, and to understand that you can use those other 2 abilities as well to get answers for what's going on. This will help you to stay calm, to stay rooted and grounded, and to understand that sometimes when we feel the winds of change or we feel like something dynamic is about to happen, we don't have to necessarily read it as bad. It could be that you're about to win the lottery. It could be that you're about to get a great phone call and a promotion. You know, it isn't always negative, but your body will always read it as negative or overwhelming.
This is from Shelby.
Shelby.
What level am I at?
I'm feeling 2, and it feels like you're going to also be increasing between your 2nd and 4th level. I think you're going to skip right over the 3rd level when you get there. And I think we're looking at like within like a year and 7 months to 2 years, I see you switching from level 2 to level 4. So this is a sign of a growth spurt. It could also be some life events that are going to sort of trigger you into that. Check out a free mini class we just did here on reasons our intuition increases. And I think that one of the things, you may find interesting about your development at a level 2 is the creativity. So if you've been more musically inclined, whether you wanted to like pick up an instrument or you're just listening to different kinds of music, you're feeling more passionate about music, drums even, classical or flutes, but artistic ability, writing, channeling, automatic writing, anything like that is one of the things that I see happening with you that goes hand in hand. So we would say that as you're increasing in your level 2 empathic ability, you're shifting more frequently to the right side of your brain. And as you're doing that, you're becoming more artistic, more creative, also more verbal in your, I don't want to say this. It's almost like more verbal in your channeling abilities and more verbal in your emotional intelligence and understanding what to say to people when somebody needs to hear something in particular. It's almost like you're like a therapist. Okay, it's just flowing right out of you. That's all connected to level 2. Yeah.
Okay, excuse me. This one is from Kristen.
Kristen?
I was wondering if I am a psychic or empath. How do I know which one I am, and how do I activate it? Oh, I do dream.
Yeah. So I'm feeling level 3 empathic ability with you. You're automatically a psychic and a medium when you have empathic ability. So psychic ability can stand on its own, doesn't necessarily mean you have a lot of the other two. When you're a medium, you automatically have psychic ability. Those two go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And when you're an empath, you automatically have all three. Okay, so I think that in regards to your dreams, this is going to change for you. And I would not be surprised if within maybe the next 6 to 8 months, there's a lot of talk the 8th month out from now with you and your spirituality. They're saying your spiritual development. I think this could be mediumistic in a lot of ways, but I think that it's important for you to understand how your dreams will change. As we become more evolved on the higher levels of empathic ability, our dreams can change from being visions, premonitions, prophecy, subconscious dreaming, into more astral travel, visit dreams, working dreams. You could find yourself traveling to other dimensions, or traveling around the world and helping people. There's going to be more work there to be done. So journal where your dreams are now and check again in about 8 months and mark my words.
All right, this is from Perella.
Perella?
Should I invest in some shaman courses for myself, or what would be aligned with my abilities?
I would always recommend to everyone that they learn the language, because no one else in the world is going to teach you the language. Come for the course and learn it. This way you don't need anyone else to lead you through any kind of journey. You become the medium. You know how your psychic ability works. You can tap into your empathic ability. You need to take your power back, and you need to really learn what skills you have now and how you can increase your other ones so that you can always make that connection with spirit, which is what I feel you're really trying to do. I think too that you understand that in a previous life, you would have done some shamanic work yourself. You would have done a lot of healing work, especially with like women in pregnancies and people with some kind of skin disease and broken feet or broken ankles, things like this. So you are in a way looking at these shamanic, classes and trainings. You're looking at reteaching yourself to get out there and do it, yourself, to be able to heal people. I don't feel that they're all of a great use to you. I don't feel that they're all in alignment necessarily, but there does seem to be one. And that may be offered more like right now in this timeline. And I see a male who would be leading it. And I think that there is some interesting connection between you and this person. And that's really important, that you can connect with the training itself. Okay.
This one is from Erin.
Erin?
I often see events that occurred before I was born, or see relatives who died before I was born in dreams. What does this mean?
It just means that you're connected to your ancestors. You're connected. I just put out a video the other day on time travel. We're connected to our past, our present, our future. It's all the same thing. It's all the same day. It's just a different frame of mind. We can tap into any of it at any time, whenever we choose. And that's all about just shifting to the right side of your brain. So when you shift to the right side of your brain, you're accessing these other people, these other times, these other places. And you may be doing that involuntarily through the Ultradian cycle. The Ultradian cycle, they used to think it was something schizophrenics and people with bipolar had. Now they're realizing Ultradian cycle is happening with everybody. Runs every hour and a half for approximately 20 minutes. You automatically shift to the right side of your brain. You become more intuitive. You may be contacting them or noticing them, noticing these other experiences during that time. It's very, very easy to do when you're asleep as well. So we could find that, in the dream state, we're doing all different kinds of time travel. And I think that what's important for you to do with all of that information is to sit and meditate on it. Maybe take one piece at a time, one family member or ancestor at a time, 5-10 minutes, and just reflect on it and ask it, what am I supposed to be learning from this? And the answers are there. Very exciting.
Okay, this one is from Stormy.
Stormy?
I can call people telepathically and can feel others' emotions. Can you please tell me what my abilities are?
So when you call people telepathically and you feel other people's emotions, that's called empathic ability. And you may want to check out the empathic awareness class. You are hitting a level 2. And so eventually you're going to be able to help, I want to say, heal other people through the empathic ability, which is really about energy manipulation. Okay, so when people look at their empathic ability and they say, what the heck am I supposed to do with this? I can feel what other people are feeling. I can hear what other people are thinking. Everyone's drawn to me. Everyone wants me to be their best friend. People out in public want to tell me their life story. What the heck am I supposed to do with this? The reason that's happening is because you are an energy manipulator, and you basically have a light on above your head like a taxi cab that says, come here. I've got something for you. I can help you. And it doesn't matter how much you avoid people. It's going to continue to happen. What you need to learn to do is to take that gift that you can use to manipulate energy and put it into good practice. I would recommend psychic surgery training, Reiki training. Start with the small stuff. Reiki's pretty easy. And learn how to remove toxic and negative energy and how to increase positive energy for other people's health and in circumstances around you that really need to be fixed. So work for the greater good, and it will take over on its own.
This one is from Priscilla.
Priscilla. Okay.
I'm wondering if I am a psychic or medium, and if so, which ability should I focus on? And what course do you recommend for me to take?
So it's all one course. It's the Psychic Mediumship Course that trains you in psychic, mediumistic, and empathic language. And what I feel going on with you is mediumistic ability, which means you're automatically psychic. So you can't be a medium without the psychic ability. If I were to tell you to concentrate on one area, it would be the mediumship, because that stands out for you the most. Hope to see you at class. I think that one of the great things that you could do for people is to prove the existence of life beyond the grave, to prove that life is a continuation, that energy never dies, it only transforms and changes. And I think one of the great things you could do for people in that healing process is to also show them that the work that we do with others doesn't end when they pass away. Contracts with significant people in our lives, especially soulmates, can go on long beyond the death process. And so I think you'll be receiving a lot of messaging on that for your ministry.
This one is from Andrea.
Andrea?
Good evening, Ivy. I am still confused as to what level I am.
Of empathic ability. You feel like you're hitting between a third and a fourth of empathic. So, you know, what that's going to mean is that it's basically the same. I mean, and that's why in the class I just pool 1 and 2 together, and I pool 3 and 4 together, because why nitpick? What does it matter? You know what I mean? If you're on the lower levels, it's still going to be somewhat manageable, but it's like rumblings of, you know, crazy coming. And then when you hit the upper levels, it's like full blown off the hook, just overwhelming stuff. So you're up there, and I think that don't worry about specifically what, you know, it's just to understand that what we're dealing with on those higher levels is telepathy, electric person syndrome. We're dealing with more serious depression when it comes, more severe anxiety without any known cause. And you could be looking at some more disturbances like emotional and mental meltdowns, needing a lot more personal space. If you were able to sleep with a lover, or, you know, a spouse, someone in the past, that may be long gone. You may need to really protect your sleep state a lot more than you ever did. And we could see an increase with light and noise sensitivity. Something like Walmart may be absolute torture. It could make you physically ill. Being around people in a toxic work environment, toxic friends or family, could make you vomit, get very, very dizzy. You know, you need to get the upper hand on it before it like really peaks into that 4th level. Okay.
From Lindsay.
Lindsay?
What is my strongest gift, and what should I focus on expanding?
Well, I'm hearing that you may be in empathic ability, but you should be focusing on the psychic ability. Okay, so I think that when you focus on psychic information, it should be for a while on accuracy. So let's say you spend a year polishing up your craft so that you are to the point on your accuracy. If somebody loses something, you can find it. You know, someone needs a date, you can give it. Someone wants to know, is this thing going to happen or is that thing going to happen? You're going to have a definitive yes or no. I think that once you can do that, you're going to be able to take that in a couple other interesting directions. One being helping people with their physical bodies. So we could be saying like medical intuitive or energy work, you know, reading different people's auras and things like that. And I think the other aspect of it is reminds me like flipping cards, or we joke, you know, about like the crystal ball, being able to just give like a fortune telling, you know, readings or psychic readings. But the crystal ball is just another form of scrying. So whether it's the coffee grounds that the grandmothers used to use, or the tea leaves, which we're going to be bringing in here at the academy soon for some public events, fun things like that, you know, looking in fire, looking in water, or looking in like a crystal ball or even crystals. It's all the same thing. It's basically being able to focus in one spot and allow for your clairvoyance to take over. So while you're staring at something, you're having visions in your mind or in this object, and you're able to tell people the stories about what will be happening in their lives.
Okay. This one is from Techno Goddess.
Azteca?
I know I'm gifted, but what's my strength and level, and how can I strengthen it?
Okay. So the first thing that I'm feeling with you is mediumistic ability. And I think that one of the things you really want to do in your mediumship is to learn discernment. And by that, I mean understand when you should and should not be communicating with the spirit. If we talk about dowsing rods, we talk about pendulums, we talk about Ouija boards, we talk about tarot cards, we talk about, using any kind of a tool to communicate with the spirit world. We really shouldn't be doing any of that until we already know the language. And part of knowing the language is understanding discernment. So it's all about negative energy. It's all about learning the difference between communicating with spirits that are in the light and spirits that are lower level, and to know also, when it is that they're coming in to give you some information, or when they're coming in just to gawk, or they don't really need to be there. Let's talk about boundary setting, after that. So it's discernment first, and then it's boundary setting. Because even when you are communicating with spirits in the light, you have to set boundaries, or it can become overwhelming and turn into disorders. So I would focus there if I were you. Yep, hope to see you for class. Learn the language. Thanks again for the donations, guys. I see them coming in. How many more are we gonna take? 3.
3?
Yep.
Okay. This one is Empowering Intuition with Jess.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody, and Paul may have put this in the top, or I could put it in the comments, but if I don't get to everybody today, you can book your own intuitive ability assessment on my website, and I can give you a private reading doing this, okay? So who is this?
Jess.
Jess.
I was told I will develop all clairs. What's my strongest ability?
Well, right now it's clairvoyance. So if you go ahead and you expose yourself to the right exercises, kind of open up Pandora's box, you know how to properly embrace your other clairs and also to manage them properly, that'll go well for you. I think that clairvoyance, the ability to accurately see the past, the present, and the future, is your strong suit right now. And so it just sort of becomes a question of what you want to do with that. Just because we are strong with our clairvoyance, just because we're good at being psychic, doesn't necessarily mean that we're performing in light work. So that's a really important thing to understand as a strong clairvoyant, is that you want to work within an ethical code of conduct, because a lot of clairvoyants can see negative things. We call this messenger of death syndrome. And it can be potential tragedy. Those things doesn't always mean that we should say it to someone else. We shouldn't always tell them that it's going to happen. We have to make sure that we understand our ethical code of conduct, that we're working within the light, and that if we have to deliver disturbing news, we do it from a place of love and kindness and healing, which means we have to deliver that healing message alongside it. Okay, so I think that that may be something that's increasing for you for the next 2 years.
Okay, Jessica's galore here tonight.
I noticed that.
This is another one.
Okay.
This is Jessica. What level empath am I? I've been diagnosed with major depression and social anxiety.
So it feels like you were stuck at a level 2 for maybe 2 to 3 years, and then you shot up to a level 3, and now it seems like you're stable at a level 3. So check out the empathic awareness training officially. But that's pretty common to hear that you get diagnosed somewhere between the 2nd and the 4th level with depression, with anxiety. Social anxiety can show up at level 1 empathic ability. So certainly by the time you hit level 3, it's very much there, and it's manageable if you understand how it is that you absorb the energy from other people, and how it is that you can apply the tools and techniques to keep that out. It's a lot of maintenance, but it is well worth it. Okay.
This is from Cheyenne.
Cheyenne.
Yep. Can you identify my abilities?
Sure. So you have all 3, but you have a lot of empathic ability going on, and that's at the 2nd level. You have quite a lot of mediumistic ability going on. Now, where your abilities come up is over here to the past, which means they've been there. This isn't new. This seems like it's been with you since childhood. I would wonder if you had a situation as a baby, like a near-death experience, cord around the neck, something like this. You seem to have been activated at 2 years old. So at 2 years old, you would have started to talk to orbs. You would have started to talk to spirits in the room. You may have even known names of grandparents or ancestors that were long gone, that, your parents, you had never met, your parents hadn't told you about. You may have known them. And I think that, definitely by the time you were 5, other people around you would have noticed that you were doing these things. So you've always had these abilities. And I think that for you, you may not even because how do you know any different when that's how you've always thought? I do think that around the 13 and, in the teenage years, I see it increasing for you, 23, 27, you may really start to notice how different you are from a lot of mainstream people who don't feed their intuitive intelligence, and you may feel more of a drive to deliver messages through mediumship to people as mediums or as spirits come and spontaneously pop to let people know that they're okay. I'm here, I'm on the other side, I died, but I crossed, I made it, I'm well. They're going to try to come push that message through you to your coworker or your friend. And I think that around that time, you may also find that you're more driven, to get into some other forms of healing work, energy work, and tap into more of that empathic ability. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a pleasure working with everyone. I hope to see you go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com to get your foot in the door for the early bird registration. Class starts September 6th, but registration opens August 22nd. If I didn't get to you guys, you can go onto my website and book an intuitive ability assessment. Thank you very much, Paul.
Oh, welcome.
All right. Thanks for all the donations. This was a pleasure, guys. And I will see you for my Ask Ivy show, where I take your personal questions every Wednesday night here on YouTube at 9:30. Thank you, Spirit. Have a great night.